Here we go, Barflies. Welcome to the Barfly Tailgate Show. You already know it's done by Barflies, for Barflies, and all the other Bears fans out there. We're coming off a huge celebratory Bears 100 weekend. We're going to hear it straight from the guys who were there. They got to join in on the festivities while I sat all cold and lonely in the corner crying. These dudes lived it up last weekend in Chicago. They got the inside scoop for you on how things went down. My name is Bobby Phelan, Bobby Bombs. I'm your host, and I'm joined by some great barroom supporters and friends. They joined the Badger at Bears 100. You know, they've graced us with their presence before in the past, and they've come in on shows last year. So let me kick this intro for these guys, and let's get this thing going. First, we got Frankie Meyers in the house, a.k.a. Chachi. Chachi and his brother, they went down this weekend. They killed it down there, man. Chachi, you still buzzing from that excitement over the weekend, brother, or what?
Oh, yeah, dude. It was probably the best birthday weekend of my life.
Hell yeah, and happy belated, of course. You know, I know we hit you up on Twitter, but I can't just let you say it's the best birthday weekend and not say shit about your birthday.
Oh, yeah, man. I really wasn't even expecting to be able to go. My brother surprised me with it like a couple days before. And it was really just amazing, to be honest. Like, it blew away all my expectations. That's for sure.
Awesome, brother. Then we got the man on the streets, Mr. Greg Braggs. Everyone knows who this guy is through his videos and appearances on Twitter. He's not only, on barroom shows, but he's joined Waddle and Sylvie over there. Greg, welcome back to the Barfly Tailgate Show, brother. What's up, man?
What's happening, boys? Appreciate you guys having me on. Looking forward to talking some Bears with you.
For sure, man. And always we have the Badger. My boy, Ryan Badgley, he's in the house joining these dudes and a bunch of other barflies out there in Chicago this weekend. Badge, man, what's up, brother? How's things?
Yo, what's up, Bobby? What's up, Chachi? My boy, Greg Braggs. Those fellas, man, we kicked it this weekend. I couldn't say it any better than Chachi, man. It was the best birthday weekend of his life, aside from marrying my wife and having my daughter. It was the best weekend of my life, man. Like, to be able to say that I was in the presence within, feet of so many of the greatest Bears in the history of this organization. And even some of the new guys, man, like, I can't wait to talk about this with you guys, man. Like, this has been, I'm still on a high, man. My 100 scrapbook came today. I have yet to crack it because, I had to go, gamble a little bit at the casino with the wife tonight, playing a little bingo. But, I'm definitely going to pop this thing open and really go through it, man. I'm pumped.
Oh, yeah, man. Everybody's still talking about it. The pictures are blowing up on everybody's timeline. I mean, it looks like you guys had an awesome time. Overall, Bears 100, I think it was an absolute success. We're going to pass it around the room and get a bit of these inside information from these guys on things that went down in their overall experience. We'll start this thing off with player interactions, then move into the panels, atmosphere, just get a collective, how the weekend was for you guys. And then you guys if there's anything that I miss out or you want to throw in, just feel free and go, man. Go from there, and we'll see, try to cover it down for everybody who wasn't able to make it. Let's kick this thing off with player interactions and Chachi. Were you able to get any autographs or interact with any players and just bullshit a little bit, or what, man?
Oh, yeah, dude. I was able to get a couple autographs, and I actually got a picture with Roy Robertson Harris. That dude is freaking huge.
Rob.
I actually, when I took the picture with him, I stood a little bit too close, and it looked like he was walking me to school. He was so damn big. That dude is huge. And I was also able to meet Roberto Garza, which when I was playing football still, like in middle school and high school, like, that dude was my hero. So, like, getting to shake his hand and just look him in the eye even it was awesome, dude. Like, that was such a great feeling.
Yeah, man, I seen that you had sent that picture of you and Roy Rob and zoomed in, and I was like, man, I know Chachi's not a small dude, and he just looks tiny next to this guy. And then it kind of looked like he was holding your hand, like you guys were holding hands and walking a little somewhere.
A little embarrassing, that's for sure.
That's all good, man. Greg, we know you were interacting, man. We saw the video with Joniak and Pagano, and I mean, if you guys already know, Greg doesn't let a moment slip past. There's no way he ain't chiming in. You can hear him. Share some of the stories with us on your interactions and who you got to meet, man.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get my fill anytime I'm going to an event like that. I'm making sure I'm getting every single angle I can possibly get. It was a lot of fun. They make it hard on you at a place like at a huge event like this where they have so much going on that you can't do everything. So for me, being the ADD crazy kid running around, I just couldn't keep my head straight. I'm running this way, that way, and it was for me, doing it that way. It was fulfilling because you were able to see a lot of different things. You got Khalil Mack playing with kids in the kid interactive area, which was really cool to see, and you got players playing video games with people. It was fun to watch that. But then you go to the panels and some of the things that were talked about on these panels. I mean, I wish they would show everything that people couldn't see because there were so many people that were even there that couldn't see the panels that were going on because there's so much other stuff going on, including autograph lines. There's just so much conversation between new players and old on these panels. And, I mean, you can't get enough of that as a Bears fan. And it seems like this 2019 team is taking that in so much. And it was really cool to see that interaction between the players. And, yeah, you're able to, get in line and meet Roquan Smith or Anthony Miller and, Matt Nagy's taking pictures with anybody the last day if you were able to stay on Sunday. And for some people, I know that there was frustration on not being able to, meet expectations on what they thought the weekend was going to be. But, for me personally, I was able to have as much fun as Greg's going to have at something like that. And it was great. My man Badge was nice enough to lend me a room for a night. Crazy Greg, he's got no place to stay. He's gonna be sleeping on the street if it wasn't for Badge. He just deserves the badge of honor. So
would never let that happen, man.
And it was amazing, meeting these guys, being able to meet Badge and Chachi and everybody, his brother. It was great. We're hanging out, drinking, talking Bears. It was a lot of fun. For me personally, it was just a perfect weekend. I couldn't ask for a better way to kick off the 2019 Bears season.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I know I don't think we're going to get much into it because I know you guys didn't, or your kids aren't old enough, or you just didn't bring or have the kids with you. But I think what they did with the kids there and the video games and the little like play 60 type of deal, I guess, where they're hurdling and jumping and catching passes and that. I know, friend of the show, our boy Scar, Monsters of the Tri-State, Mott's, what up? He was there with his son Carmine, and that he participated in some of the events. He schooled up Ridley and Wims in some Mario Kart.
Yeah, dude.
And then, even at a panel, the kid asked a question, and it was a great question. It was awesome, man. It was good to see them, focusing on the kids and having them in that event. And, how it is, like Chicago, like when you're a young kid, my little brothers are Cubs fans. Greg, I know you are too. Sorry, man. But I'm on the South Side. I'm a Sox fan, and that's just how it goes. My little brothers were Sox fans until the Sammy Sosa era. And then they were, hopped into being Cubs fans. And it is what it is, man. We talk crap back and forth, but I think it's great. And it's perfect time to, just build the fan base, man, and get kids back into football and involved into all that stuff.
Yeah, the kids stuff. I mean, for me personally, I wasn't able to catch the Q&A with Tariq and Khalil Mack and Spice Adams, but to me it was a disappointment that they didn't put that front and center on the big stage because they had it in a side room that you had to go find in a way, and there's a lot of other stuff going on. And I talked to somebody that worked there. It was real nice, and I was telling him, I was like, when you guys do this expo, if you guys ever were to do them in the future like they used to do, please do the interactive stuff where everyone can see it. Those kid questions, there's nothing better when you go to an event because you get the most purest form of any question you can possibly get in response. It's always, when I go to Cubs conventions, it's always the best moment of the weekend every time. So, I'm frustrated because I wasn't able to see that. But like I said, when you're at something like this, you cannot experience it all. It's impossible. But, they did a good enough job trying to do as much as they can for the 20,000 people that pillaged Rosemont.
Yeah, for sure. Badger, what about you, bro? I know you, I got to talk to you because we talking on the phone, and I know we were like little schoolgirls, and but go ahead and share for the listeners on who you got to meet, your interaction, and the players you got to see, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm sure everybody saw it on Twitter, man. We got to meet Duke Shelley and Steven Denmark. Duke, our first badge of honor of the year, and just awesome
Duke
to meet him.
Go.
Yeah, man. Got to meet him in person, say what's up, showed him a little gift we got that is on the way to Hallis Hall for him as we speak. And as soon as he has that, we'll drop some special news on what that gift was and how that's going to work the rest of this season. But got to meet Duke, man, which was awesome. Steven Denmark, cool as hell too, man. And then one of, probably the highlight of my weekend was meeting Mike Brown, man. Mike Brown is a cool dude. No doubt. I'm not really an autograph guy, but I got a wristband for Mike Brown, and I didn't even keep the autograph, man. I gave it away. I gave it to Diddy. He's a big autograph guy, so I was like, yo, man, this is for you, man. But I got to talk to him, just quick, Mike, an honor to meet you. The respect I have for you and that 06 defense, man, and the way you guys played this game, man, and the personal respect that I have for you as a man. And he was like, man, no, I know we're here for people to, get autographs. He's like, but I really appreciate that, man. And then to hear him go up on stage, because I said to him, I'm like, when you couldn't play in that Super Bowl, man, I feel like if you were in that game, that's a totally different ball game, man. I feel like Mike Brown was, the missing piece. And then Tom Thayer asked him about that on stage.
Oh.
And he got emotional, man. So I got emotional. I'm sitting there, I literally it was, a half hour when I talked to him. And it was just holy, I felt the hurt and the pain of him not being in that game. And it was just something, man, that I'll never forget. He was so gracious, all the players. That's the thing that I take away from this. Yeah, you had those people that were upset that, the autograph lines, the photo lines, whatever, you needed a scratch off here, scratch off there. But I personally thought the players, coaches, management were super gracious with their time. And I mean, some of these guys, man, on Sunday, Kyle Fuller did 2 autograph sessions. You know what I mean? They brought Mongo McMichael in to cover for somebody too. So these guys really went above and beyond to try to make this experience for the fans something that they would never forget, man. And for me personally, I will never forget this till the day I die, man. Gale Sayers coming out on stage. I mean, if that, Gale Sayers obviously played before my time, but what he was as a player. I mean, I didn't really, follow Gale Sayers news much, but seeing him come out, man, and seeing, how he was, man, if that didn't bring a tear to your eye, man, not even as a Bears fan, as a human being, dude, it was heart-wrenching just to see, for those that don't know, he's suffering from dementia, and his wife was really hoping that having him here and seeing some of the guys, it would help, trigger something in him. And I don't know if when he looked down, if he was wiping a tear or his eye itch, but I hope for his wife and his family that it triggered something, man, because that was a really special moment on Friday night, man. Wow. It really was. I mean, not to keep talking, but Friday night, I know for Chachi, for Greg, for myself, Friday night, man, was fucking dope. I mean, just they interviewed all the players there from different eras, or not interviewed, I'm sorry, introduced. And then they brought out the 2019 team, man, and they introduced all 90 players on the roster, including the 3 kickers that are currently on our roster, man. And like to see them come out there and, you could feel like everybody was pumped, man. The players were pumped. The organization was pumped. The fans were pumped. And then at the end, Coach Nagy comes out again. He drops the boom, man, and the players start Club Dub. I'm sure everybody saw Greg's video. He was freaking fantastic in a fantastic spot. Yo, I'm a big dude. I don't really like to jump, man. I was jumping. I was bouncing with everybody else, man, and it was Friday night, man. I think that's why we were up so late, is because we were just on a high that. You know what I mean? Like, and you guys can speak on that too. We'll kick it, Greg, if you want to touch on it first.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. It was the most hype scene you're gonna have. I mean, the culmination of the 2018 season kind of all came to an apex. I mean, Dan Wiederer brought it up on Kaplan's show earlier in the week, and what luck the Bears had that the 100th year anniversary came in the same year that the 2018 Bears came to life and breathed new air into this organization. And you felt that the whole ceremony, because everyone just wants to be there to experience this new team, this new freshness. And so, but then you also get to appreciate the past, and you're not pissed off because the team sucks and they don't have an answer. And imagine if this was 3 years ago and it's pitiful cut, all this stuff, and everybody pissed off. It wouldn't have worked. They couldn't have done it the same way. But because the 2018 season had such success, then you end this whole, where they bring everybody out there, all your favorites, Butkus, Waddle, Singletary, it's this Hester. He comes out. I'm literally crying when Devin Hester comes out. I mean, that's how emotional and fired up you are as a fan, because it just builds you up. And then they finish it off with Club Dub, which is a players only thing. I mean, I was pushing for them to do Club Dub when they won the division over Green Bay right on the field, but they said that was a locker room thing, and I respect that. As much as I would love to sneak into that kind of party, if they'd let me, to be able to just get a taste of that at the end where they hit the boom and then hit the swag song. It was just a beautiful moment and perfect for the new players that are here, because they just got a little taste. It wasn't like an overbearing, like we're going to win 8 championships kind of LeBron parade thing. It was just a celebration of the night, and they finish it off in just such a perfect way. And Mitchell Trubisky, of course, finishes it off by high-fiving every single fan before he leaves, as the true leader of this organization does. And it's just perfect. It was, like Badge said, it was as hyped a scene. We didn't go to bed until 3 a.m., I think. That's how excited we were. I mean, it was just awesome. And I know every single person felt the same way leaving there that night as a Bears fan.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Like, that whole introduction ceremony was probably one of the best parts, honestly. And the panels were amazing. Seeing all the player interaction was amazing. But, like, just the whole vibe of that night just set everything off. It set the tone for the whole weekend. And, like, touching back on that Gale Sayers moment, like, it really makes you think, like, wow, like, I really care, like, this much about this team and, like, these players, because, like, I've never even met Gale Sayers. Like, I wasn't even alive when he played. Like, I was just watching his games on YouTube as a kid, you know what I mean? And, like, I was damn near crying because he was just on the stage, and I was just, it was just a really hard moment. Like, it just really made you realize how much you care about the team. And then, like, to have all those eras and all those players come out, and then the current team, like, it was just, the hype just built up until that moment when they brought out the new jerseys, and it was just lit after that. Like, people just lost it. And even then, like the whole time, people were screaming their heads off. It was amazing.
Yeah, that was the perfect opportunity for me because I didn't have no premium pass like some of them, so I couldn't get up in my up close and personal spot like Greg likes to be. I was pissed when this thing started. I'm like, well, how do I get to the stage? And I can't get there. I'm like halfway to it. I had to accept that. And then when the jersey reveal happened, luckily everyone thought that was it. So everyone started getting up and leaving, and I was like, screw that. I made a beeline for the stage just trying to get. I was gonna get a picture with me in the stage, and I said, "Go home." Well, then all of a sudden, Club Dub hits, and it's like, "Yo, here we go! This is amazing." It was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, the rush for the new jerseys, Bobby, was like nothing. Like nothing I had ever seen. Like they announced them, and Joniak says, and they're available in the pro shop now. And I mean, it was like a herd of cattle, dude, running to try to get these jerseys, bro. Like, and I'm like, I'm gonna hang back, so I hung back, and I mean, I was able to move myself right up. I mean, Greg's so good with getting video, man. I never think, I need to get rolling here, and I'm just up there watching all this transpire while all these other people, premium pass people, just ran to get their jersey. I'm like, man, you guys missed the boat on this. Like, it was awesome, man. And no question, Mitch, if anybody that is talking about the Chicago Bears and they don't see what this guy is doing for this organization, man, they should just shut up because they don't have a clue. This dude is the real deal. He's legit. And after listening to Coach Nagy, man, multiple times praise this kid, and I really think this kid's gonna ball out this year, man. I mean, it's coming, dude, and I don't mean to jump ahead, but the theme of this weekend with everything was Super Bowl, and all these people talking about Minnesota and Green Bay and Philly and Dallas and Seattle, and this shit ain't yours. You want it? It's coming through us, baby. So you better be ready to strap that shit up because you're going to get messed up anytime you step on the field with us.
Yeah, man. And it's like, it's not just a thing. You know what I mean? It's not just like how every year you get a player here, a player there. It's like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. It's like a bought in, not probably one of the first years ever maybe ever that the fans have actually bought in before the season started, and like you could see, I mean, granted, it wouldn't be the same, right? Because you guys were there, but even in the videos and watching all the updates and everything come out, the emotion in the panels, the emotion in the introductions, like just like the raw emotion and like Chachi was saying, man, how it's actually like affecting fans, and like you're watching it, you're getting like that little, like that little charge inside. You're like, man,
dude.
I don't know if I want to scream or if I want to cry right now. Like there's gonna be something. I'm just excited, but I'm a little emotional. It's, and you could feel it and see it. And then talking to you guys throughout. I mean, Braggs comes running in, man. He's like, I need to grab this. I need to get this. And, whatever. Then Braggs ducks out. And, I'm talking to you guys throughout, man. It was just ridiculous. And of course, Braggs and his spots and his camera shots. This dude's like a fucking sniper. Like, he knows the map of the land before he gets there. He finds his spot. I'm going to the one game with him. It wasn't even the end of the fourth quarter yet when the Bears locked up the championship, and he's like, down here, and I'm like, hurdling over seats to get to where he was, man. It's ridiculous, but he's got all that planned out, and he's ready to go. Dude, and even in some of the panels were even like all the panels were coming out after, I don't think it was live, but it was coming out shortly after they were completed, and you could see like the emotion in that. And I mean, I'm sure everybody knows, but we'll just kind of give you the lowdown. So some of them were positional panels, right? Like you had the quarterbacks all together, past and present. Some of them were team panels. So you had like, this team, that team, the 06, 85, whatever. You had team panels going. So let's move into these panels and see what you guys thought about those. And maybe any inside scoop you can give us. I know a lot of players came back afterwards and said, I got to talk to this guy and he did this for me. I got to talk to that guy. I don't want to, say any of that in case that's what you want to hit on. But let's start this one off with you, Badge. Any of the panels that you went to that just, really impressed you or kind of, left you in awe to where you were like, man, I didn't know it was like that, or I'm glad these guys are, mentoring and providing these younger guys with some insight?
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty much what I did, man. Like I said, I'm not really an autograph guy, so pretty much what I did was the panels, right? Now I missed the Mitch panel because I had to meet my man Duke, yo. I mean, I had to get there, I had to say what's up, had to show him the ball, but so I missed the Mitch panel, but I was able to see the Hall of Fame linebackers, the 2006 NFC Championship team, the safeties, the defensive line. All those pretty much were Saturday. Chasing Great was I think that was Sunday. 100 years in the making, and the leading the Bears. And the theme in each and every one of these panels that I saw was this 2019 team. And quite honestly, the defensive line panel with Dan Hampton, Tommy Harris, Ed O'Bradovich, Chris Orts, and Akeem Hicks.
Yeah.
Man, these guys were basically saying to Akeem, yo, this is yours. You got to go get it. So let's get it done. Ed O'Bradovich, man, and Hampton were just, and at the end, the thing to me at the end, man, when they turned to Akeem goes, I accept your challenge. And even, all the current players, they're ready for this, man. They know after last year and what happened, they know what needs to be done. And if for 1 second anybody doesn't think that, then they're not thinking wrong. So keep doubting us, keep putting the Vikings ahead of us, the Packers ahead of us. Go ahead. We're coming, and this is ours.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I was just thinking about it as you were saying it, and not that he isn't humble, right? But what a perfect way to go into a season and just kind of humble your players and have them around these guys and just learn from them and kind of grow together, and imagine how much experience and just overall wisdom these players gained this weekend, and then the camaraderie that was built and just the togetherness of it all, because they wouldn't have been doing this,
Right.
I mean,
right.
This was approved. There wouldn't have been any team activities until today when minicamp started. So this is kind of like a team bond, a growing experience. And we got lucky enough to have it this season where, the Bears are just ready to pop off. It's not like we had the first pick this year in the draft. It's a great time for it to go down.
No, but our first pick was Khalil Mack.
And to touch back on your point with Ed O'Bradovich, because I was able to watch that panel as well, Badge, and you're right, man. And anybody that doesn't know as a Bears fan that doesn't live around Chicago, Ed O'Bradovich and Doug Buffone, God rest his soul, they used to do the post game for 6-7 to the score forever. After every Bears game, they were where you tuned in on the radio to listen to the breakdown. And TV only covers it for so long. Radio will go for a couple hours, so you can listen forever if that's what you want to listen to. And Ed O'Bradovich and Doug Buffone are legends, and they got this perfect Chicago voice. And when the Bears lost, then you really wanted to tune into these two, because they would tune into the team because they played for them, and they also just have a fiery passion. And you saw that. Ed O'Bradovich is not young by any means, and he wasn't talking there for a minute and you're like, oh man, he's looking old. Then as soon as he starts talking Bears, this spark goes off. And if you know Ed O'Branovich's voice, he's like, it's not gonna I don't want to hear that you're gonna be good in 3 years, you're gonna be good in 4 years or 5 years. You're great right now, and you need to get it done now, not later, now. And he's looking at Akeem Hicks saying this, and Akeem's just locked in. I mean, it was a powerful moment. And then later, as he touched on him, he's like, the defense is great and everything, but it starts with this guy, and he points right at Akeem Hicks. And it was just both those moments were as powerful. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, couldn't have come at a better time. You got like this free, with all the league rules of how much time they get. You got a free weekend where you got to bring the whole freaking franchise from past to present, and it was perfect. It was an explosion of like just exactly what this team needed.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I mean, you're right. I mean, those are some guys that they don't pull any punches. They're not going to sugarcoat anything. They've always been. I mean, those shows 670 when they were on, it was, there was never pulling any punches. If something was wrong, it wasn't sugarcoated or, well, if this would have done this or that would have done. They just went at people, man. And I watched that one. It was ridiculous. Like, not ridiculous, but there was just like, hey, it was kind of like watching it, you kind of felt like it was like a hey son, this is what you need to do. Like, I want to see this, I want to see that. Like, you're in charge of this, you need to make this happen. And I think like we were saying, it was just perfect, man, just perfect timing. Chachi, what about you, man? Favorite panel or player group that you got to hear from, or anything on the panels that you want to talk about?
Dude, my favorite panel was one that a lot of people didn't really go to. It was the scouting panel, or the Future of the Bears panel. And it had Josh Lucas, Champ Kelly, and Mark Sadowski. And it was really, really fascinating, actually. They talked a lot about Devin Hester, especially because Mark Sadowski wanted to talk about him, because he was one of the guys that he really loved and had played a big part in getting to the Bears. And it was funny because they were talking about how he didn't really have a position in college, and he was like, I don't really care. Like, this guy's amazing. We have to get him here somehow, some way. Like, you guys just got to draft him. I thought that was pretty funny. And then they were talking about David Montgomery a bit. And they were really, like, way more excited than I would expect, especially when you're talking about a third-round pick. Like, their excitement was almost like they were talking about a first-rounder, because the way they were talking about him, how they traded up, used the assets to go up and get him, like, he was their guy. He was number one consensus, like, the guy that everybody wanted out of this draft. And they went up and got their guy, and everybody was so hype about it in the draft room. And they're expecting him not only to be like an immediate contributor to the team, but to be a Bear for a very, very long time. They see him as the perfect back for Chicago. And I thought that was really, really huge to hear. And another huge thing, they talked about Adrian Amos leaving and re-signing signing HaHa Clinton-Dix. And one of the comments they had made was that they had consistently graded HaHa Clinton-Dix over Adrian Amos for the last 4 seasons. And everybody in the room was just like, kind of gave a sigh of relief and just raised their hands like, yes, like, thank goodness. Because, I mean, I wasn't necessarily worried about switching to HaHa, because he's a great player and he does a lot of great things on the back end, but there's the worries, a player I haven't got to watch a lot, a player who's got like tackling issues, I guess, but that it just instilled a lot of confidence in that decision, because that seemed like the guy they were most excited to get. They even called it a blessing that they got him.
That's cool, and I'm glad he got so open where he's talking about that, but man, then it gets out on Twitter, and I just don't love a non-player putting out bulletin board material like that. I mean, I believe the Bears are a better team, and I believe they believe their grade on HaHa and Amos, but if you're I'm sure he got talked to after that, because you got to be careful about what you put out there, and you're going to say something like that, you're going to play him week 1, that's he can't back, the team's got to back him up now on the field, and it's cool. It was very surprising to hear him say that. That's how much they pulled back the curtain for you this weekend for Bears fans.
Yeah, and that wasn't the only thing. I mean, you're right. I was surprised to hear it when he said it too. Granted, I liked Adrian Amos. I mean, I chatted with him all the time, but when he left, I basically told him, I was like, yeah, dude, but now you're gonna go up there, and I don't know if we can be friends anymore. Um, but either way, it's not like you wish the dude any ill will, right? There's never
Right.
that, but you're glad that they seen what they wanted and they pulled the trigger on it. And I know everybody was like, oh yeah, that's bullshit because they offered Adrian this, they offered Adrian that. Speaking to the man himself, they never offered him anything. There wasn't a contract in place. There was talks back and forth, numbers, but there was never an agreed upon thing. And there was just, he felt that he, wasn't getting a fair shake at what he felt he deserved. And as any grown man would, if you don't think a job's going to pay you as much as you feel you should earn, you're going to move on. And then, I mean, they also, go ahead. Yeah.
I feel like when you see that comment like out of context, like Greg saying, like on Twitter or something, like in the moment, like he wasn't really saying like, haha, so much better than Adrian, or Adrian's not a good safety. He was just more like instilling confidence that they had picked up somebody who was another quality safety, and it wouldn't have to be like a worry. But if you take it out of context, it's like, oh, they're trashing Adrian Amos or whatever, and it can just get ridiculous.
So what about this though? So there was also another comment that he had said about Jordan Howard, in that same panel, where he had said, well, Jordan moved on and now we have a back who we feel can catch the ball out of the backfield. Because that was in that same panel where they said kind of like Jordan just didn't fit the system. And do you feel that was more of a dig, or was that, maybe a return dig for what Jordan had put about he's going to finally be used the right way?
That definitely felt like kind of a shot. Like it wasn't like super malicious or anything, but I felt like he really went out of his way to be like talking about the route running, because he had just mentioned Jordan Howard, talked about him for like 2 or 3 sentences, and he was like, then we went out and got a guy who's really good at running routes out of the backfield. And I was like, well, that's something really interesting to bring up very first. Like, I didn't be the first thing that he said.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was kind of a dig, but I thought it might have just been, return fire from Jordan's comments, and I don't know, maybe they're not that petty as I think that they might be, or, maybe that didn't even cross their mind.
It could just be that that's the type of back they were looking for, so that was the first thing he thought to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Badge, you said you had something more on the panels, man?
Yeah, man. So I only touched on the Saturday one. So Sunday there was a bunch more going on, and I sat in all 3 panels in Hall A on Sunday. The first was Chasing Great, which there was supposed to be 5 players, but it ended up being Kyle Fuller and Charles Leno Jr. And fantastic stuff that they talked about. Then the 100 years in the making, Virginia, Hallis McCaskey, George McCaskey, Dan Pape, and Don Pearson. When I say Virginia McCaskey stole the show for me on Sunday, I am not lying, man. She was excellent on Sunday. Like, she was freaking fantastic, man. And it was so awesome to see her up there. I got to say this too, because I know I put it out on Twitter, but Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer, for me, that's how I first used to listen to Bears games, is I listened to Joniak and Thayer. Like, that was the only way I could do it for a while until I got DirecTV. And I'll be honest, I wish they were on TV so I could have them, but unfortunately I can't. But they were Jeff Joniak, Tom Thayer. I said it on Twitter, but I'm going to say it in this podcast. You guys were ridiculous. It was an excellent job all weekend. And then the last one to close out on Sunday was leading the Bears with Coach Nagy, Ryan Pace, and Ted Phillips. And I mean, these guys are just so open, so upfront, so honest. They really, I mean, it was just amazing, man, the way that they talk so freely, like they were having a personal conversation, one on, those three and me, or Greg, Chachi, whatever. It was freaking cool, man. And I feel like this organization is in really good hands with the guys that are there, just from the top down. I think they've got this thing figured out, and it was just amazing to see. And again, Jeff Joniak, Tom Thayer, man, I loved it, man. Being a radio guy, like that's, awesome. I mean, they were doing this from Friday night all day Saturday, till noon on Sunday, man, and they didn't miss a beat, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. And your comments on Pace and Nagy there, like, I mean, I follow a lot of NFL. Granted, majority I would say is Bears, but it's not like I don't follow other stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe you guys know of somebody, but I don't know if there's another coach or GM that is, when they get in these conferences, these press conferences or anything, that they're like as open as these dudes are. And I think that like totally increases the comfortability level for the players, on the incoming players, even the players going out the door. You haven't really heard anybody talk besides Howard saying that he didn't feel he was used correctly. But I mean, there's nothing said ill about the man like you see sometimes when players leave.
Yeah, dude, and that's the thing, man. Like you hear, like, it was funny being a Bears fan. You guys all are. The people listen to the show all are. This has never happened in the history of the Chicago Bears, where you have this comfortability, and then you take that and you look at former players like Dan Hampton, who in that defensive line panel, and it was probably one of the funniest things said all weekend, when he said, when we finally got John Fox's ass out of here, and the freaking crowd, they went nuts, as they should have. And, that's the type of stuff to hear that from a former player when you were a fan on the Fire Fox movement. It was like, you know what, man, these guys are feeling the same stuff that we're feeling, and they played here, so all of that, the coaches, the current players, former players, everything that transpired this weekend as a fan made you feel like you were part of that organization. And I'll tell you, from my perspective, my bond with this organization grew, and I didn't think it could. I mean, I thought, I'm sure you guys feel the same way. You think you're the biggest Chicago Bears fan. You didn't think you could get any bigger. I came out of this, man, a bigger Chicago Bears fan than I was, and I already knew I was a diehard.
Well, it's a shame for someone as big a fan as you are that you don't live closer, man. I mean, because you've been seeing this here the last couple of years, and it started with the arrival of Mitch Trubisky and that rookie class with Tariq Cohen, Eddie Jackson, Adam Shaheen, and even my boy Tanner Gentry. They all came out to camp, and they breathed that year at camp. They breathed new life into this organization, and it started with that. But they didn't really have a direction. Then they hired Nagy, and they found their direction. And last year, I mean, it just you can see this building, and I'm happy they did this. And obviously, the weekend, the 100th year culmination and everything, everyone was able to experience it. But man, I got to tell you, every time they do if it's camp, if it's a preseason game or a regular season game or just it is just the most energetic time to be a Bears fan right now. And 05-06 was very similar, but that team, both those teams, Bears fans had their doubts. It was 05 was an Orton led season until Grossman came in against the Falcons. Yep. And you never really believed in that team. They were just fun to watch. They had a dominant defense. And in 06, they were a great team, and you felt like they were a team of destiny. But that's all you really felt was it was destiny. It wasn't that they were better. It was that they the things that were happening that year defied logic. And this team is different. This team is different. They give you that feeling that they're gonna win it because they're supposed to win it, and that feeling is just energetic, and it just brings everybody up another level, and that's what creates things like Club Dub and all that stuff. And then, like, for us to be able to go there this weekend and be able to have a taste in that, and then see the excitement of the rest of the alumni of this, great organization. It was perfect. It was perfect. I can't, obviously we've all expunged on it. We can't say enough. It was perfect. I can't wait for the rest of this season to unfold.
Yeah, what about the atmosphere there as a whole? I know, like, some people were complaining about the scratch-off thing. That thing had started. A bunch of people, I guess, were waiting, thinking, that they get there early enough, they can go somewhere. Was the atmosphere, like, as a whole, just infectious, or was it, patients got tested in Chicago and started coming out, and, we know how it goes sometimes, or was it just, do you think it was just kind of everybody was energetic and just infectious all around?
Not to speak over, but honestly, I understand the people that were upset. And honestly, if you had to gauge halfway through Saturday, probably half of everyone was upset. And, the organization, as great as the weekend was amazing, and everyone got something. So it wasn't like it was a nothing thing. But for me, I live an hour away, 40 minutes if I'm speeding, and I was. And it's like for these other people to come from London and Mexico, California, they said 50 states were represented from fans coming in 7 different countries. You're talking about people coming and flying in, their families, they're staying in hotels for 3 days. You're not only doing all that, you're paying for maybe a premium $400 ticket, and you're also then getting in line at 5 a.m. for the craziest event you've ever been to, where there's a 3-mile long line if you're an hour and a half late. I mean, it was awesome, and it was Bears insanity, but I understand that you have to be able to look at the other side of the coin for some of these people, and I can understand people being upset. The Bears could have done a better job in certain areas, and when you throw an event like this, being a person that goes to a lot of Cubs conventions, they've run through this trial and error for 20 years, and they have gotten a little better at this, where people want autographs. That's just a fact. I mean, some people don't like it. It's not their thing. People like to hate on adults that get autographs, whatever. I see a lot of these athletes trade jerseys and sign them for each other after a game is over. So, everyone can appreciate a nice autograph. I don't think it's just for kids, but kids obviously come first when it comes to all this stuff, and I thought they did a good job of that. But, for the fans that didn't get their expectations met for the autographs, I can understand, because they jumped the shark on fans. I mean, you had them showing up at 5 a.m. Saturday, and then when they walked in, that was the only, at 9:30 in the morning or 8:30 in the morning when they opened the gates, that's when you realize that you weren't able to get Mac or Trubisky or any of these guys. Yeah. Hey, when you're coming from frickin' Europe and you've stayed for 3 days and you think one thing and then you're told another on Saturday, you're not even told on Friday, because they kind of kept it from everybody. And I think they kind of felt it coming, because I was explained at the end of the night on Friday what was going to happen. And I kind of laughed with a girl. I was like, I'm sorry about getting yelled at all day tomorrow. And she's like, I know. And it was just like, there's only so much you can do, but they could have handled some of that better if to that point, aside from all the euphoricness of the weekend, there was a smattering of upsetness with some of the fans feeling like expectations weren't met.
You think, Chachi, you think that they just, maybe the organization wasn't prepared for this type of a turnout yet? Granted, when they started planning, it's not like they started planning it a couple months ago. When they started planning it last year, they weren't prepared for this, for the bloodlines to start flowing again, and for this type of turnout like they had. And it was just, maybe it was just something that they knew when it got too close that, hey, we're in for some hell this weekend. Let's just try to do what we can and go from there.
Yeah, there was definitely a little bit of a snafu with all the autographs and the signings and photographs, especially because my only real problem was the whole lottery ticket thing, because if you weren't like one of the first 2,000 people in line, you wouldn't even get a scratch-off ticket. And then also only a small percentage of those people got the guaranteed autographs with select players, or they got to go play video games with the players. That was pretty much your only opportunity to do some of those things, which, I mean, that's fine because they were kind of the extra special things of the event, and everybody's going to want to do that anyway, so you got to find some way to make it fair. But my problem was that with the autographs, they were giving out bracelets to go line up for the players' autographs. So you had to go get in line an hour before the players' autograph started to get a bracelet to get in line. And my problem with that was that they were only giving out a certain amount of bracelets for each player. And for a lot of the players, they would get maybe 100 people go get their bracelet. 30 of the people would realize they wanted to go to another line. Those bracelets are gone. They just trashed them and went and got another bracelet. And now that player is just standing there for 20 minutes. And I want to go up to him and just talk to him and maybe get an autograph or just say, hey, you know. And you don't even have that option because you don't have a bracelet and they're sold out.
Oh, so you mean even with nobody in line and the players still at the table, they weren't like, okay, we'll take 5 more?
Yeah, no. They wouldn't let anybody go without a bracelet. And if you tried to go back and get a bracelet, they'd be like, oh, well, we've already given out all those bracelets.
It was lines on top of lines. I mean, Saturday
yeah.
morning starts, and it's 20,000 people basically pillaging Rosemont at the at the same time. It wasn't like they all came at different times throughout the day. They all came at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
And there's only one door that's bringing all these people in with like 8 turnstiles. And then come to find out there's this secret hallway door. And that was actually a death trap for people because if you weren't one of the people at the beginning, this line, you're in it forever. And, you know, so it was that line. And then you take forever to get in. Then you get your scratch-off card, which you don't even realize you're getting. And then, so people are upset because they want these autographs. And then all of a sudden they're like, what is this? And then they scratch it off and it's, oh, you won a pen that says Bears on it. And this person next to you might get a scratch off of Tariq Cohen. And then you run all the way to the lines where you get to the bracelets. And it says on the floor, there's like 16 lanes and they have huge numbers. And it's like, some of these are scratch only. And you don't even know what that means because you thought you could get in any line. And then you find out, you can get in the only ones that don't say scratch only unless you got that particular player. So people are mad about that. So I'm getting into the Roquan line because I want to get a Roquan Smith, meet Roquan Smith. Then you get the bracelet after waiting an hour, and then you have to get into the actual line for Roquan Smith. It was just lines on top of lines on top of lines. That morning was so chaotic and so stressful and tension. You could cut it with a knife. It was so kind of just like an upsetting mood to start the day. And unfortunately, I witnessed a person fall into a seizure, and it was extremely traumatic situation. Help immediately rushed in. Credit to the Bears fans that were in line that are actually doctors, ran immediately into help. And then the paramedics were right behind them. And they did what they had to do for this person. It was I don't even want to explain the scene I saw. It was extremely traumatic. And then because of that scene, a person fainted watching this. Then they have to run to that person. Another paramedic crew comes running out. And if I'm not kidding you, a third person passed out, or I don't know what happened, but a third person fell to the ground, and that person had to receive treatment. It was like watching like The Happening. I couldn't believe my eyes. And it all, to me, stemmed from the stressfulness of the line situation. It was very weird.
Yeah.
I mean, not to drag that whole part out of the weekend because it wasn't like the focus for most people. Most people didn't even know what happened, but it was just definitely a chaotic start to the Saturday morning.
Yeah, and you can understand some people's complaints in that. And I seen your tweet with the whole lines everywhere. Lines. And I was talking to Badge on Friday before the event. And I told him, like, dude, I would have loved to come. I'm like, I don't know how I would have been there because I go to stores with Carrie and Like we'll walk in, I'm like, no, I'm fucking leaving.
Yo,
And she's
dude,
like,
you would have
she's like,
died,
what?
man.
And I'm like, I'm not waiting in this. Like, I would rather just leave this cart or whatever I have filled with shit and leave.
Yeah.
Because
That's hilarious. I said
I'm
that to my girlfriend like 3 or 4 times walking up to the mile-long line the first day. I was just like, oh my God, like, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I was like,
Yeah.
I have to do this.
So Friday, Bobby, as you know, I had met everybody for lunch downstairs, and then you and I had something we were gonna do, and so I didn't even. Everybody else got in line, like an hour and some time before me. So it was 6 o'clock or after before I got in line, man. So
wait, did you use the excuse I told you to use?
I'm sure that wouldn't have worked.
Oh, damn.
So, and then as I'm walking to the end of the line, I get a call from my daughter, and she's wanting to go for ice cream with some dude and her girlfriends, and I'm like, I don't know this dude. So thankfully, it kind of kept me distracted from how long the line was. But man, I went 2 lights on River Road, and I'm telling you, it was, Greg said 3 miles. I'll tell you what, man, because there were people coming after me. I could see it being 3 miles, dude, easily. Because to get in, I mean, it was insane. So the first night, I didn't even get a scratch off. I was so late getting in there, man. They were already gone.
Yeah.
Saturday, I got one. Sunday, I got one. But Saturday, mine was 15% off in the pro shop, and Sunday it was a free gift, which was cool. I mean, I definitely second what Chachi and Greg said as far as the autographs. It was, you could tell. I mean, there was a guy in line next to us who was a premium pass holder, and he immediately called somebody over, and he's like, we came a long way. And the fact that I thought I was going to be able to get in this line today and get yada, yada, yada. And now you're telling me I can't when, I get it. I totally get it. The premium pass holders, I definitely don't think got $400 worth of what they paid for their ticket. But I try to keep it positive. The atmosphere itself, man, was electric. Aside from the autograph lines and everything else, the atmosphere in general, man, just after all the panels and everything, man, it was just electric. People walked out of there feeling good, feeling happy, man. And I mean, I'm still on cloud 9, dude. Like, Greg, Chachi, man, I don't shit. Friday night, we barely went to bed, man. Like, and we were up Saturday morning to get in line at 5 o'clock after sleeping for 2 hours, so we made it through the whole shit. I didn't eat Saturday until we went to dinner at 7, 8 o'clock, like it was crazy, man. But, and I didn't feel hungry just cause I was so like in awe of everything, man. Like,
your adrenaline's rushing.
Your adrenaline's going. You came in hot right there, boy. Yeah, dude. I told Badge on Friday night, I was like, he's like, everybody's down in line, whatever. And we're talking. I was like, dude, so when you're done, just walk up to them in line and be like, oh, you guys think this line is long? You should see the line for the fucking shitter back there. And maybe some people will forgive you and just let you by yourself walk in with and stand in line with them. He's like, I don't know if that's gonna work.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm always coming in high. That's just how I talk, honestly. You guys, if you had to work with me, you'd probably want to kill me. I just talk loud at all times. My poor wife.
I'm the same way, Greg.
At all times.
Me too, man.
The line was insane. There was a person that took a picture. When I say 3 miles, there was a person that took a picture. I'll have to find it and retweet it. But this guy, he took it, and it was from the next town over where there's like a sign that says, welcome to Rosemont. He was behind it. That's how long they were down River Road. I mean, come on. Jesus. There should have been another door. More entrances. Then they could. You got everybody waiting in line all day like it's Six Flags. Get them there to spend some money, They're not spending any money standing in line. They didn't, I mean, yeah, but yeah, everything was amazing. Once you got in, you got to find something that filled your Bears need.
Was there anything going on outside while you were all waiting? Was there like Greg, were the Wrigley Bucket Boys out there doing their
Oh,
thing?
that's what I mean. That's where they just weren't thinking, man. They should have had vendors in these lines, like where the autograph lines are. Have video boards up to watch the panels. You can't even watch the panels. Like, I mean, Greg's a know-it-all, so I could have fixed the whole event if they'd have just asked me, but they didn't. So,
yeah.
Well,
One
here we
day.
are with our complaints, but next time I said in line one day, I was like, well, for Bears 200, they'll have it all figured out. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's fair. It's fair that people have complaints, and some people will be like, oh, you can't bitch about the event, but sure, people are gonna bitch, and there's things that people are upset about, man. Like you said, there's people who came from other countries and bought, these premium passes, and they're standing in the same line with everybody else who bought a one-day pass or bought this or that. So I get it, man, and people are always gonna complain, but all in all, it sounds like the thing was, just an amazing event. And yeah, the lines were a headache, and this was bad, and that was bad, but collectively, the good outweighs the bad, and like everybody just had a damn great time this weekend, man.
Yeah, man.
To summarize the lines, like it was a bad experience, but my brother when he went to Devin Hester's table. It was one of the first tables available at 9 a.m. on Saturday or 10 a.m. And he was one of the scratch-off only players. And they didn't tell anybody about that morning. So there was a ton of people who had gotten wristbands and went to stand in line, only to be told that they couldn't get in line for it. Fortunately, they let 15 people in, and my little brother was one of the first 15 to get in.
Hell
dang.
But they get to the end of the scratch-off lines, and they tell Devin that he has to go. And they pull him back off with his handlers. His handlers take him off. And this one dude just throws a fit, dude. Like, I'm standing over on the side of the lines just, like, watching, and this guy is throwing a hissy fit. And I think Devin must have heard him or something, because he came back, like, 5 minutes later, and he actually signed, like, 10 more autographs. So my brother was able to get his autograph signed, even though there was all the complications and everything. He was still able to get
Damn, Chachi, you're a good fucking storyteller, because you got me all happy, then you got me upset, then boom, there's a happy ending. I mean, that was perfect.
Yeah,
Moroccan tour.
I heard that Hester story, and I heard about one of the guys at the front was kind of older when Hester was told to walk away. It's a little bit of a shame, that they don't have to listen to their handlers. And I saw Hester at camp. He was every day at camp the nicest player, along with Tommy Harris. He signed for every single kid every single year. So a little bit of a surprise to hear that he kind of got ushered away for a minute. Glad to hear he came back.
Yeah, but I think he might have had a panel. That's why he had to go.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. And that's kind of what happens, But to the point, to get off of the negativity of it all, because there wasn't. That was the only blip on the radar. It's just planning. They didn't realize, like you said, Bobby, they didn't realize 20,000 people were going to show up. Well, guess what? You got 10,000 fans that love the Bears for everything they've done, and then you got 10,000 new fans that want to be there to get in Club Dub. So it was a collision of two universes of Bearsdom that just exploded, and they weren't ready for it all, and that's okay. I mean, they can have a Bears Expo next year and do it right, but to some of the players' credit, Peanut Tillman, Olin Kreutz, who else? Danny Trevathan, all these guys outside when they were leave the building in their cars, signed for hundreds of fans that didn't get any scratch off. They're standing outside waiting for their valet to come get them, and they were as nice as could be. It wasn't like a "you're harassing me" thing. They came out. Mike Singletary signed for like 200 people, took pictures, joked around. So
wow.
As Badge said, these players did go above and beyond. I saw Khalil Mack after the kid interaction thing signed for like 300 people as he was being ushered away that didn't have any scratch-offs for Khalil Mack. He just did that because he's a nice guy. And I'm sure Mitch was doing the same thing when he was shaving people's beards, because that's who this team is. So, not to keep expunging on the line thing. They did everything they could. It's just obviously there's going to be mishaps when you throw an event this huge.
Yeah, well,
Mitch
that's
actually
good.
signed every kid's autograph at that shaving event. There was
I
about
wish they
20
would have shaved my
kids that
trimmed my
signed them
beard
all.
for me. I could have used one, man.
get a little trim up. That's good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have to do any of that. You know what I mean? And it just shows, like Greg's saying, it shows who the team is and who these guys are, and and what they're building. And that they are, they appreciate everything. It's not just like they're being pestered or that they have to do this. They're doing it because they want to do it, man, and it says a lot about them. All right, we'll wrap up the 100. Maybe we'll move into a little mini camp here. I know it's only one day. We'll move into a quick mini camp unless you guys got anything on 100. Go once.
Yeah, I just want to finish like the weekend as a whole, man. Like, the bottom line, I think, and we've probably touched on it. I probably did myself, but kudos to the Chicago Bears organization, man. I mean, for not doing one of these things in a really long time, other than the autograph, it was off the charts, man. Out of bounds. Like, it was dope. I mean, I got to thank Diddy and AA, man. AA took me around the city on Thursday, showed me a good time, being, I've been to Chicago before, but I was a young kid. I've been to a couple Bears games, or I just did the game, and, he really, we went on the Soldier Field tour. He drove us around, knew where to get us, how to get us places, man. And, I can't really thank him enough. And, Diddy was kind of coaxing me to go. There was time where, it didn't look like I was going to be able to do it. And he's like, you got to do it. And, I just, I wanted to, throw a little thank you to them for, forcing me to do this, man. Cause, it really was one of the highlights of my life without question. And, Chachi, Greg, man, to be able to meet up with you guys, Joe Mandel, John Santucci, I'm sure I'm forgetting people, but it was absolutely, I had more fun chatting Bears with you guys in person. It was awesome, man. I just can't thank you guys enough, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. AA, comes through in the clutch, man. That's what he did when we all went there in December. We had the little thing at Bill's Burgers, and the whole festival of damn Bears fans at that time. And it's just a good dude. Comes through when you fucking need him to, man. And otherwise, this 100 thing, of course, I'm jealous. I would have loved to be there with you dudes, but we'll do it eventually.
We missed you.
Yeah, this season I won't be around. I'll be gone, but who knows? We'll see. Maybe I can hit up a game before we leave. But the way it's looking right now, I might be watching opening day somewhere else. But okay, enough about that shit. Minicamp started today, right? We don't really have much. We got a little bit here and there. I know we don't, not really a plan for thing, but one of the things that came out today and talked about this whole camaraderie thing. We talked about how this team's growing and togetherness, and they're all having fun together and this and that. Well, once they get on the field, man, the monsters come out. Because today, Adam Hogue reported that the offensive line and the defensive line were getting a little chippy with each other and started battling. And Coach Nagy had to tell him, hey, throttle back a little bit, calm down. Like, this is practice. Like chill out. Does that Braggs, for you, does that show you that, hey, this team is all business when it's time to get on the field? And it's it's fun off the field, but when it gets on the field, man, it's just time to go.
Yeah, man. These guys are locked in. I mean, that's just what it is. They set the tone for this last year, and they expect greatness. They've got a new slogan Matt Nagy's saying, and he's saying chasing great. And this team embodies that. They expect to win every week they go out there. That's why this schedule they've got, everybody talking about how tough it is. I'm not worried about that. This team gets up for the tough games. So that mentality. When you hear Matt Nagy say how far ahead they were from at this point last year, well, that's a team that is showing me that they're ready to take that next step because they're locked in right now. And I'm not surprised because that's what they were last year going into camp. It's this team just has the right DNA, and you love to see it because oh man, they are going to be a tough team for the NFC North and the NFL to deal with. I mean, if they're as fired up as they are now, you just pray everyone just stays healthy, and that's the biggest issue when you're talking about physicality at practice. But you want that because that just shows you where this is going. And anybody that doubts this team, I just laugh at. When you have debates with people on Twitter or whoever, it's funny. Like if you didn't see it last year, you're blind because this team is hungry, man. And I mean, I'll look to Tariq Cohen clip, go back and look at during a game after I think it was during his rookie year where he's just like, I want this bad, and he's just hitting his chest. And that's who this team is. Like, that's how they are, everybody. And they want it, man. They want it. They've worked hard for this their whole lives. This isn't just the last couple of years. And when you have a championship-ready team, it's a whole culmination of a bunch of different elements, and it's come together here. And this is it. I can't wait for the season to get going. And when I hear them are knocking pads at mini camp, that just makes me think of 6 weeks from now at the first day of training camp. And you think I was running all over the place at Bears 100? Oh my God. Dude. And it's going to be a circus at camp. Don't get it twisted. There's going to be 1 million people there because everyone's up on this new squad, and that's fine. But it's not going to be as easy for old Greg to be able to get around, unfortunately. But that's okay because the hype is real.
Hey, as long as you don't crash the car again this year, everything will be all right.
Exactly.
Hey, he crashed into me. I did nothing. We were sitting there. Please stop. We were peacefully minding our own business. Jesus.
Everybody in jail is innocent. Chachi, man, what about you? A report came out earlier about Leonard Floyd. Basically, his makeup of this year and how he looks so much different than last year. And I know you were talking about Floyd earlier, man, and all that. What do you see out of Floyd this year?
Oh, Floyd could have a real special season if he can actually stay healthy for a whole year, and having come off a year where he's not really had any huge injuries, just little minor tweaks here and there, little cast in the beginning, the soft cast, but that was long gone. He's good to go, and he's beefed up actually. Like, I was a couple lines over from him in the autograph lines, and when he came out, I was like, whoa, like, this dude looks like Cam Jordan almost, like Cam Light. Like, he's way thick in the frame. Like, he's not the skinny little kid he was when he came in from Georgia. Like, he's a big dude. So if he can stay healthy and, progress his game, he could have a huge year, especially with guys like Khalil Mack and Eddie Goldman, and especially Akeem Hicks out there.
Yeah. And I mean, this offseason gives him the first offseason, because we didn't have Mac last offseason. It gives him an offseason to learn from Mac and maybe pick up some traits and go. I know it was a few weeks ago they came out and said that they thought that it was something along the lines of he may not be the most talented linebacker that we have, but that Leonard Floyd possesses the most raw talent of any linebacker we have. It just needs to be sharpened up. And that was on All Access. Joniak and them were talking about it, and I was like, wow, like, it's just crazy to think that would come out when you actually look at the core of people we have. And then, of course, the storyline throughout the whole offseason has been these kickers. Badge, we'll come over to you. We know at the end of the day today that, Nagy told us that they went 0 for 3. There were some reports. I think it was Hogan Johns again that came out with that one. I don't remember exactly who. If one of you guys have it, feel free to share who it was. But that it was, they came out 0 for 3, man.
Well, I got this, Bobby, from Rich Campbell, right? So during Bears practice with 25 alumni and their guests watching, all 3 kickers were called onto the main field to try a 42-yard field goal. The first one hit the right post. The second one went wide left. The third one went wide right. When Coach Matt Nagy was asked what went through your mind, his comment, whatever went through your mind went through my mind. So I'm sure as a reporter, you're sitting there watching and you're going, oh boy, this is still a problem. I said Bobby back. I think the first episode that we did this year, I don't see Robbie Gould being on this team, but Jesus Christ, man, something's got to give at some point. I know it's only 3 kicks and whatnot, but you're a yard closer than the double doink, and you're not hitting these field goals. When it gets to training camp, if this is still a problem, there's going to be a lot of unhappy people, because to me, the only thing holding this team back is that position, and you got to get it rectified, and sooner rather than later. I mean, we don't want to be getting to week 1 and we're carrying multiple kickers, or, one on the roster, one on the practice squad, because we're unsure. We've got to figure this out, and soon. And, if it's Robbie, fine, then do what we have to do to pay this man. I mean, you see it, this team is ready for a Super Bowl, Greg. Like, am I missing something here? Or?
No, this is the move, and I've had enough of this conversation after what I read today, and in my opinion, this is not going to end. If they continue this, and I'm going to start it with saying it is time to give up a 5th-round pick for Robbie Gould right now, because I don't care about the future. Like Ed O'Bradovich said to Akeem Hicks, I don't care about 3 years from now, 5 years from now. I care about right now. And this team is ready to win right now. We have no idea what's going to happen in 2 years, but I know this team is ready. And you want to keep one of the kickers on board with Robbie while Robbie teaches him the tricks of the trade? Even better. Sounds great. Yep. But the only kicker that's going to make anyone feel any better in this city is him, because any other kicker not named Robbie Gould is always going to be one that makes you nervous when he lines up for a kick. So first off, if they don't get Robbie and we go into camp without having this solved with Robbie giving up a 5th-round pick for Robbie, then it's going to be a circus.
Yeah,
training
a
camp
nightmare,
will
dude.
be crazy. Rex versus Orton, that training camp was insane. It was like a circus. People were like heckling both quarterbacks while they're trying to practice, because people were so divided on who should be the quarterback. Now with this kicker, with the whole Cody Parkey thing, it was one of the most iconic negative moments in Chicago sports history. The camp is going to be insane because there's 20 superstars on this team, and they're all going to be there heckling the kickers while they're trying to do their job, and that's just a reality of camp, and I don't mind it because pressure bursts pipes, but at the same time, you can alleviate this entire circus by making one move, and I don't care about next year's 5th-round pick, personally. Maybe somebody else does, but Greg doesn't, and I want him to make that move, because if you want to go into camp with no headaches, you get Robbie Gould. If you want to go into camp having a little bit of a circus, you can just keep this kicker competition going. It's going to be interesting, and it'll be funny video, but at some point when the season starts, you're going to get real nervous when the kicker lines up, no matter who he's named, because you have no idea what he's going to do in the clutch or in the pressure or in Chicago when it's windy and cold, or then he can make all his kicks. And then when the playoffs start, you're going to be thinking, oh, Cody Parkey, he lines up for a 43-yard field goal in the playoffs. How you going to feel? You're going to be nervous. It doesn't matter who the fuck it is. So it's just time for the Bears to get this right, get our guy home. He's kicking all over Chicago. Waddle or Sylvie was taking a picture with him this morning. Just get him on the freaking Bears. I'm so sick of talking about this.
Yeah, Sylvie asked him if he needed a center this morning or a hold or something like that. He asked him. Go ahead, Badge.
Yes. So Greg nailed it, man. And I have to agree. At this point, I take a 4th-round pick for all I care. I want to win a Super Bowl, and these guys want to do it too. And the funny part about this, not to go back to the 100 weekend, man, but they kept talking about the big moves the Bears made, trading up and drafting Mitch Trubisky, the trade for Khalil Mack, and how they made these decisions and whatnot. And, as I sat there listening to Ryan Pace expunge on some of these things, his comment to me was sometimes, not to me, I'm sorry, Jesus, that would be a miracle if he would, sit down with me. But
Fuck it, roll with it. Go ahead. What you got?
Yeah. His words of, sometimes you got to take a chance. Sometimes things don't work out. You can't have any regrets. Ted Phillips backed him up on that. Coach Nagy backed him up on that. But I have a feeling if these guys don't go out and get Robbie Gould, they're going to have regrets because, it starts getting harder next year. There's spots, there's roster spots that need to be filled. There's contracts that are ending, and they're going to have to start figuring things out. This is the year to do it and get it done. And I mean, I'm telling you, I know the Cubs winning a World Series after 108 years was awesome. Hell, I bought a hat. I watched the game. I thought it was great, being a Yankee fan. But I just think if the Chicago Bears win a Super Bowl, the city of Chicago, it will be like nothing we've ever seen. It won't, nobody will hold a candle to it. I guarantee it.
So my only concern is that, and I know that we got the kickers in there, right? And I don't want to see it. The one thing that I'm actually kind of keeps me sane over all this is I would rather have a kicking carousel than a quarterback carousel. But then again, that doesn't make it any better. You're still in this spot. You know what I mean? I don't know if Nagy's concern for the kicker at this point is like, yeah, it happened. It sucks. Like, that's the way we went out. But that he thinks that the offense is going to be in 2.0 mode and that he doesn't feel we're going to rely on a kicker at the end of the game.
No, he knows, man. He knows. He lost the biggest game of his life because of a kick, and he did everything he could for Cody Parkey. Everything he could. And he stood by him even after he hit a field goal post 4 times on 4 separate kicks in one game.
I know.
And so he knows the importance of the kicker position now. They're just trying to do it because they can't get, they're trying to see if they can do it without getting Robbie. I know they're thinking about it.
Yeah, that's
because,
what I'm thinking.
They're trying to do this trial by error thing, see what's going on with these 3 guys. But at some point, you gotta make your move. They've done it. Pace has a history of doing it. I have confidence that they're thinking about it. I really wish they'd just pull the trigger so we could stop talking about it. But yeah, it's of vital importance because
I wouldn't be surprised to find out, like, say we do get Robbie here in a month or 2. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that they've been trying to work this deal for the last 3 months. That it's been trying since he didn't sign the tender, that it's been working back and forth because, like, it came out, I think it was Hogue again. Shit. It came out today, that article, it might have been John's, but it came out, the whole breakdown of how we acquired Khalil Mack and how many phone calls and called this time, called that time, and just continuously kept in contact trying to work it out. And it could be the same thing with Robbie, and we're just not at that point yet. You know what I mean?
Ryan Pace has to value it just as high as a top 5 position. How many games did the kicking position cost them a game? And I don't want to hear, well, they're going to score more points this year, so they don't have to worry about field goals. That's not how football works.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I know.
Football is decided by 3 points no matter how you slice it up.
Yeah.
So you're going to need a kicker to win you games fucking 5 times this year. So, and one of them is going to be in the playoffs, and you better have one that you have confidence in. And they know they lost the biggest game of their life to this. So they're trying. I know they're just trying to do every avenue they possibly can. And maybe hopefully they look at all their chips on the table and say, screw it, let's just get Robbie, and just close their eyes and give up more draft equity that they've already given up. And I know there's a lot of people that get upset about that, but guess what? No one cares. We're getting our guys. You want to trade up to get Anthony Miller? Do it. You want to give up picks for Khalil Mack? You do it. You want to give up a pick for Robbie Gould? You do it. So just do it so we can stop talking about it and let the guys cry about draft equity tomorrow.
Let me spin this to Chachi, man. Like, so Chachi, you're a player on this team, right? You went through this last year. You're on the field as Cody Parkey misses that kick. Now you come in, you're preparing for training camp, and you've watched this over the last 3 OTA sessions. You're seeing this today in front of all these alumni. What's going through your mind, man, as a player?
Coach needs to make some moves right now. Coach needs to make some moves. I
Yeah.
can't do that again, bro. I can't make it all the way to the playoffs, almost beat the Super Bowl champs, and then just lose to a missed field goal. I can't do that, Coach. Like, I'm not gonna come out here and bust my ass every day in practice. Come out here, put 110, 120%, play games injured, do all this shit, and then lose to a field goal.
Yeah.
For some asshole who practices for 30 minutes a week. Can't even make the drive to the stadium because the traffic's bad.
Yeah.
Are you serious? Like, nah, Coach, you got to make some moves. But, like, with what Greg said, like, bringing in Robbie, like, that's really the only option if these new kickers don't work out. Because if you're looking at the waiver wire, what is there? The kickers we got are the best there is, aside from a 43-year-old Matt Bryant, who's a great guy, great kicker. Killed it in Atlanta, and I mean, he's got some experience in the weather, kicking in Carolina all those years. But when it comes down to it, he's 43 years old. What's he gonna do when it's 0 degrees outside in Chicago in the playoffs? Like, that's a risk in and of itself. So you got to get somebody who can do it.
Yeah, I think they just need to be humble enough to accept the fact that we need him in there. There's too many games each year. I'm just kind of taking a shot in the dark. I know I had the number at one point because we were curious about it, but I want to say there was like over 20 games the last 2 seasons that were decided by 7 points or less.
I mean, think about all the
that's
John Fox
ridiculous. Yeah.
There's so many games we lost by less than 3 points. I can think of at least 10 games in those 3 years we lost by less than 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, there was a touchdown or less, and I mean, a kicker changes that for you. You're able to get these in, and there you go. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I know Greg and the rest of us, we're sick of the whole kicker conversation, man. And we're ready to move past it, and we just need that last move to be made and throw it down, and let's run this thing all the way to the Super Bowl, man, and get after this thing. If you guys, so we're gonna wrap this thing up here. If you guys got nothing, unless you got something more on minicamp you want to do, we're gonna run a that special segment we all know and love called Badge of Honor. We're going to do an extra special one today on some things that happened last night. So if without anything else, we're going to go ahead and run in with this. So go ahead, Badger. Take it away, brother.
Yeah, guys. So anybody that follows the Bar Room or Bears fans on Twitter, I'm sure you know at Chicago Crux, he does a lot of nice GIF work, and he's done some nice stuff, screenshots of players and whatnot. Well, last night his house was robbed at gunpoint, and his wife, Krysten, was shot 3 times. And luckily she survived. She's doing okay. But they are in some dire need of some help here. Not only, I mean, this is going to be traumatic for the family. That you can't even put an amount of time on that of how traumatic and how long this effect is going to have on them, but financially as well, because they don't feel safe where they are now, and they want to try to get out of there as fast as they can. So Chris had created a GoFundMe, and happy to say that it's well over halfway to their goal of $5,000 to try to help them get out of that neighborhood, and most likely medical expenses, because she's going to have surgery on her hand. And any little bit you can help. That's what Badge of Honor is for. Is normally we focus on the Bears players and organization, man, but this is one of our own from Twitter, man, that his family's just been through a traumatic experience. And I know George Berlissimo has been out there putting stuff out, sharing it. So please, I beg of you, if you can't provide the funds, man, provide the prayers, provide some positive thoughts and positive words to Chris and Krysten and their family. Even just that is going to hopefully help them, and the other stuff will hopefully fall into place for them. But big heartfelt to Chris and Krysten. He's done a couple things for me, man, and he's a great dude, huge Bears fan, and we wish them nothing but the best.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I was talking with him today a little bit in DMs back and forth, and just telling them, we're all hope, hopes and prayers your way, man. And I just told them, like, it'll be a long road back, but you got the roads are lined with Bears fans that are here to fill any potholes along the way and help you with what we can. And he's like, I really do appreciate what all y'all have done. It's really remarkable, to feel like family and all that, and just the whole Twitter thing, like. Dude, it's crazy the power of people and what we can do. And like you said, Barlissimo was talking to him this morning. I talked to him a little bit this morning after it happened, and it's just it's crazy, man. Tragic. And the amazing part of how she just defended herself and fought this dude off to keep her children safe. It's a great story in itself. I mean, it's hard to say a great story, right? But just a remarkable woman that just fights this dude off at the door and gets shot a couple times. She gets shot 3 times, one in the chest, one in the arm, one in the hand. And she's already replying, back to messages and saying, thanks to all you Bears fans, thanks to everybody who's come out to help. It's what we should do. And it's Twitter, man. Yeah, we all might talk shit and we disagree with people's stuff from here and there, but we're human beings. And if you can't help out with anything, then, prayers or just let them know that you're thinking about them. And I honestly think that they're going to crush that GoFundMe goal, and it's just going to keep on going up.
Me too, dude.
Yeah, I think it's
as it
keep
should,
on
man.
Going up. Yeah,
that's the thing. People forget when you're on Twitter and Bears Twitter that behind these handles and profiles are actually real people that actually have real life shit going through them. They actually have to deal with every day. Shout out to a guy like Trey Busy that tries to address people that actually deal with these problems on a daily basis.
definitely.
And we're seeing this with this particular family that's going through the most extreme thing you can possibly think of. And, for us, on our small little platform, if we can make a whole stadium yell boom, then we can certainly help people that are in need, in any, facet. So
Definitely.
Especially someone that's going through something like as traumatic as that, I can't even imagine what that is like for them, and hopefully they, obviously can get out of this. I mean, sounds like, it could have been much worse, and you got to focus on the positive in a situation like that. And luckily everyone's, still alive and they're able to move somewhere else. And, it's just unbelievable. But yeah, absolutely. That we're all in this fight for living life together. It ain't about Twitter or nothing, and if
Exactly.
people can help people, we certainly should be out there trying to do it, as much as you can, as little or as much as you can. That's the least we can do. And shout out to you, Badge, for creating this segment of your show where you don't just talk Bears, that you do something where you can help people, and that's perfect, man. That's exactly what people should be doing. There should be more of that and less of the bullshit.
Yeah, man. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, for sure. The last message I got from Chris, this message he just put, can only go up from here, man. Thanks again, brother. And just shows the positivity that him and Krysten both have. And like Badge said, there's the GoFundMe page. You'll find it on our profiles. You'll find it at Chicago Crux. That's Chicago and then CRUX. You'll find it there on his. You'll find it on some of the Houston media outlets because he's actually in Texas. You'll find it on some of the Chicago media outlets. You'll find it at Bears Bar Room. If you can't find it, my DMs are open, badges are open. Feel free to hit any of us up, man. We'll lead you guys to it. And it's you don't always just have to give. You can go in there and just make a comment. It's not just about that. We realize everybody's got their times and their struggles, man. And when you can, you do what you can, man. And that's really it. We just wanted to make sure we, got it out to them. And, shout out to Chris and Krysten and just let them know we're pulling for you guys. And, I know we say Barflies unite, but this just has to be that Bears fans unite, man. And, get people through the times like we can, like we know how. Boys, that'll about wrap it up, though. We'll get out of here. Unless anybody's got anything else, I'm just going to sign this thing off. Barflies, thanks for joining us. Bears fans, all of you that went to the 100, congratulations. It was a hell of a turnout, man. You guys look like you had a fucking ball. I think, I honestly hope they start doing something like this every year where we can all get together and, go to one of these things and just, grow stronger bonds and all that, man. To everybody who joined us tonight, Greg Braggs, Chachi, all the insight that we gave up from everybody, who put stuff out. I know I went over Hogan Johns a bunch of times. I know we talked Waddle and Sylvie. We didn't ask Greg Braggs about the traveling Waddle jersey, if he brought it to 100. I don't know. No, he's shaking his head. He didn't. I was kind of hoping he would have, but either way, that was my fault. I dropped the ball and didn't ask him beforehand.
No jersey, but I do want to shout out Badge and B Diddy for showing the hospitality one more time. It was a great weekend, and if it wasn't for my boys over there, I probably would have been sleeping on the street somewhere. So it was appreciated, and we did it right. We all got to have fun that night, Chachi included. Man, that was a good time, and I look forward to being able to hang out again as a group, and maybe it'll be when they're Super Bowl champs. Who knows? You never know. But till the next time, for sure. Cheers to that weekend, no doubt.
Damn
Cheers
straight.
to that, brother.
Hell yeah, man. And otherwise, boys, thanks for joining us. I mean, I could throw it around to you guys. I know Greg hit his shout out badge. You got anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, man. I follow Greg's shout out without a doubt, man. Meeting everybody, a lot of the fam from Twitter, some boys from the Mott's crew, no question. B Diddy, AA, had a great time. Joey Two Scoops, John Santucci, the Tooch, man. Awesome to meet you guys in person, man. And just excited, man, for the bar room, man. Like, we just keep going. And, adding everybody to the mix, man, has just been a wonderful thing. Eldo Gandia, Shane Marsaw, I do it every time. It's just who I am. I just can't thank everybody enough. My boy Bobby Bombs hosting this up. Loving it, man.
Chachi, what you got, man?
First of all, I just want to thank you guys for having me on the show, just to be able to talk about the great opportunity I got to have, because, not everybody gets to do that. And it was honestly a luck that I even got to go. So I'm just grateful I can talk about it with you guys and get to share that moment and actually get to meet you guys. That was one of the best parts of the whole thing for me, really, because I really thought, I've been on computers since I was like 5 or 6 years old, and a lot of people you meet online talk to for years and you never get to meet. And having known you guys for a couple of years, like, it was awesome to finally actually get to meet you and talk to you and just hang out and kick it.
It was funny too, right, Chachi? Like, I just got my pass, right? And I see Chachi had tweeted that he's, just got his pass, whatever. I look up, and Chachi and I lock eyes, and we're like, yo!
Dude, yeah, it was hilarious. We both looked up from our phones at the same time.
It was funny.
Dude, I could hear like the
yeah,
you guys like running towards
you know what?
each other.
And to finish it, shout out to the bar room for creating that. This community of people, that made this possible. Shout out to Aldo, the Godfather, and Shane, and even Phil. These guys are the ones that built this, created this circle to where we all were hanging out. Even B Diddy and all these people are walking around, and we all have our differences and all that. We could talk about that another day, but the bottom line is all this was brought together because of Bears Bar Room, and that's a special thing, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. It's fun to be a part of, and it doesn't need to be taken seriously. It's awesome. I love meeting all you guys. We're all just regular people just trying to kick it, watching the Bears. These guys, this is a good time to be a Bears fan. Might as well all just chill and hang, and that's what I'm saying. Shout out to the Bar Room for creating this. It's a lot of fun, and it's a pleasure to be on the airwaves with the bar room. And, I look forward to more times shared with you guys, whether it's on this radio, network, or, in person at camp or at a game. It's a pleasure meeting all you guys. You guys are all class.
Hell
You
yeah.
too, brother. And Barflies, next week we're going to have another person joining the bar room, another special guest that's going to be joining us. She's bringing her talents to the bar room. You guys are going to love it, man. The things that are going to be putting out, it's going to all roll in with Badge of Honor. You guys are going to love it. Aldo, Shane, like Greg, Phil, here and now. I know we've talked. Whatever, man. We'll grow this thing. We'll roll into this next season. But when it comes time for the Super Bowl, hopefully we don't need to have tickets to be standing outside. You know what I'm saying? We could be outside just throwing down. So, Chachi, thanks for joining us again. Greg Braggs, thank you, sir. Badge, you killed it once again, dude. As always, expect nothing but. But, appreciate you hopping in, man. I know you've been a little jet lagged, missed the family over the weekend, had to go play bingo tonight, but you still fucking brought it, dude. Gentlemen, without any further, we'll just go ahead and kick this bear down and get the hell out of here. So, bar room, bear down.
Bear down.